Welcome, Curious Minds. Today, we're tackling a question really central for anyone in digital assets. When is the right time, the best time, to think about buying a specific cryptocurrency? And our focus today, it's squarely on XRP. There's a lot of buzz around it right now.
Yeah. Yeah, so our goal here is to really unpack what's going on. We'll look at the latest trends, dive into some historical data for XRP, see how it stacks up against other big players, and basically help you understand what the data might be suggesting about where it stands right now.
Yeah.
It's all about giving you the insights to, navigate these markets. Okay, so let's get into it. There's been a really noticeable jump in public interest around XRP lately. We're seeing search interest for Buy XRP climb pretty sharply. And this is happening right as the community is getting excited about the upcoming ProShares XRP Futures ETF launch. That's set for July 18th, right?
That's right. And that ETF is a big deal for accessibility.
Definitely. Plus, you can't ignore the performance. XRP is up, over 445% in the past year. That's massive. It is. And what's really fascinating, I think, is comparing this current buzz to what we've seen before. If you look at Google Trends, searches for Buy XRP globally, they have climbed, reached a score of 32 out of 100 on a 5-year scale.
Okay, so highest in recent months.
Yes, exactly. Highest in a while, but, and this is key, it's still way below the peak we saw back in late 2024. Search interest was almost maxed out then.
Right.
So it brings up this really important question. Does this kind of spike in public curiosity, this buzz, automatically mean it's the best time to jump in? Or maybe something else?
That's a great point. It sort of challenges that gut feeling, like, oh, everyone's talking about it, maybe now's the time.
Yeah.
But you could argue, isn't this rising interest maybe a sign of real adoption, sustainable growth, not just hype? What does history tell us about when let's say, the crowd usually gets involved, especially compared to price moves?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And history, particularly in crypto, shows a pretty consistent pattern. Retail interest driven often by that fear of missing out or FOMO.
Right, FOMO. We hear that a lot.
Exactly. It tends to surge after a big price rally has already happened, not usually before it. Think about it. The markets may be quiet, prices start moving up, the smart money, the institutions, experienced traders, they're often building positions then.
Oh, quietly.
Quietly, yes. Then the price really takes off, it hits the news, and that's when you see the broader public interest really spike. People jump in because of the excitement.
Okay.
So yeah, high search volumes show people are curious, definitely, but they don't necessarily mean a new breakout is just starting. Actually, looking back, some of the really stellar gains for XRP happened when, fewer people were typing Buy XRP into search engines. It's almost counterintuitive.
It really is. It sounds like chasing the peak buzz might mean you're already a bit late to the party. So can you give us some concrete examples? Times when XRP did really well, but maybe wasn't all over the headlines, when the crowd was quieter.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And those periods are really telling. We often see the best opportunities when general interest is, let's say, simmering rather than boiling over. Look at the period between mid-2022 and late 2023. Search activity for XRP. Pretty low compared to the peaks.
Okay.
But the returns, quite impressive. In Q3 2022, for instance, XRP gained 44.5%.
Solid.
Then, Q1 2023 saw this dramatic turnaround. It went from being down nearly 30% the previous quarter to being up almost 59%.
Wow, quite a swing.
Huge swing. And by the end of 2023, overall growth was 82.5%. Then 2024 added another, 235.7%.
And this was during periods of lower search interest.
Relatively speaking, yes, these weren't gains driven by mass retail FOMO hitting its peak. They were built more steadily. It really suggests that the biggest opportunities often pop up when general interest is lower, not necessarily when it's hitting those fever pitch levels. Patience and maybe looking where others aren't, it seems to pay off here.
That's a powerful lesson. So, okay, that's the historical context. What about right now? With this recent attention and that huge yearly gain, what's the price actually doing lately? Especially with the ETF coming up.
Right. Let's zoom into the recent action. It mirrors some of these dynamics. And the start of July, XRP was around $2.17.
Okay.
It then surged almost 33%, hitting a high near $3.02 just a couple of days ago on July 14th. So over the last week, it's up about 26.5%. Very strong.
Very strong. Yeah.
But in the last 24 hours, we saw a little dip. about 2.7%.
Okay, a slight pullback. What might that indicate?
Well, it could be a sign that some institutional players, the smart money perhaps, are taking some profits off the table before the ETF launch. That classic buy the rumor, sell the news idea.
All right, locking in some gains.
Potentially. But interestingly, we're also seeing signs of stability, maybe some re-entry from bigger players, especially around the $2.82 to $2.87 level.
So support in that zone.
It could be. It might hint at accumulation in larger players buying the dips, or at least some temporary relief buying, providing a floor. It suggests it's not just a one-way street of selling. There's still underlying interest, maybe strategically playing the long game.
Okay, so complex dynamics even in the short term. Let's pull back again then. How does XRP's performance, especially that big yearly number, look when you put it next to other major cryptos? Is it an outlier?
It really is. That 445.8% growth over the past year, it doesn't just look good in isolation. It looks, frankly, stunning compared to its peers.
Okay, lay it out for us.
All right, so over the same one-year period, Bitcoin gained 86.3%. Respectable, but
Nothing like XRP.
not even close. BNB was up 21.1%. Ethereum actually down 10.9%.
Oh, Ethereum's down. Yeah.
Yeah, and even Solana, often seen as a strong performer, only managed a 4.5% gain over that year.
So XRP has just blown them all away in the last 12 months.
Pretty much. This huge outperformance really highlights that XRP has its own unique momentum going on. And it seems fueled by, well, a few key things we've touched on. Clear institutional interest, growing legal clarity that's been huge for confidence.
Massive, yeah.
And, of course, the anticipation building around this ETF exposure, potentially bringing in even more capital. It's a narrative that's setting it apart.
That context is crucial. It's not just rising, it's dramatically outpacing the field.
Right.
So, okay, let's bring it all together. We've looked at the rising searches, the historical patterns, retail chasing, smart money moving earlier, the recent price action with its nuances, and this incredible relative performance. What's the main takeaway for our listeners? If someone's looking at XRP right now, thinking about getting in, how should they process all this?
Look, it really comes down to your individual strategy and time frame. That's the most important thing. While the spike in buy XRP searches shows more people are definitely paying attention, we know from history that doesn't always signal the start of a new surge for quick profits.
Right, the FOMO indicator.
Exactly. Often, when that retail FOMO really kicks in, the smart money that got in lower might actually be starting to sell. So, yes, the searches show curiosity, but maybe not the ideal entry point for short-term trading. Could even be higher risk for that approach.
Okay, so caution for short-term traders, maybe?
Perhaps. However, if your focus is genuinely long-term, if you're not just trying to time a quick jump, then this could still be a perfectly reasonable time to consider an entry. That view is definitely bolstered by the upcoming ETF, which is a structural positive, and that clear institutional momentum we're seeing.
Makes sense.
It really depends on your goals, your risk tolerance, your time horizon. Are you chasing momentum, or are you investing in what you see as longer-term potential based on these developments? The data gives clues, but your strategy is the key.
That's a really balanced perspective. We've definitely gone beyond just the headlines today, looking at the pulse beneath the surface of the XRP market. And I think what stands out is how looking at sentiment versus historical data gives you a much richer picture. And that maybe, just maybe, the best opportunities aren't always found in the middle of the loudest buzz. Sometimes they're in the quieter periods. So maybe a final thought for everyone listening. Think about other areas you're interested in. What could you uncover if you looked past the immediate noise, the hype, and explored those moments before everyone else catches on? It's something worth reflecting on how these patterns might apply elsewhere in your own explorations. It could lead to a more informed and perhaps more rewarding journey.